If there are people who live there, then they won't exist. You have to try to figure out how that works. Why can't Pluto be a planet? If it's small, doesn't mean it doesn't have to be a planet anymore. Some people like Pluto. If it doesn't exist, then they don't have a favorite planet. Please write back, but not in cursive, because I can't read. I have file drawers of letters like this. This is just one of them. Well, maintaining our scientific curiosity, rather than just stay here on Earth and look at this blip of light, we actually went to Pluto. This was launched in 2006. The New Horizons spacecraft is in the fairing, in the upper part, and there is some honkering mondo rocket engines down here, because Pluto is far. And the number one rule as a scientist, when you're investigating the universe, is you want to complete your experiment before you die, okay? So the scientists in charge of this want to get this thing to Pluto as quickly as possible. So you make the spacecraft as light as possible and put it on your most powerful rocket engines you have. And that will accelerate this puppy as fast as anything has ever been launched from Earth. In fact, it took astronauts 3 days to get to the moon's orbit. It took this spacecraft 9 hours. Wow. This thing was booking coming out of the Earth. It's one of the fastest spacecraft ever launched. And before New Horizon, by the way, it was launched in 2006 to arrive in 2014. So before that, this was the best image we had from the Hubble telescope of Pluto. Wow. This is a front and a back. Pluto didn't. It's the same planet. Okay? So there's some light patches and dark patches that were not well understood. The New Horizons spacecraft, as it neared Pluto, got a time-lapse GIF of Pluto and its moon, Charon. This is a beautiful thing here. Watch this. So it's a GIF. Okay, so it's Pluto in the middle, and this is Charon over here on the outside. And Charon orbits Pluto in about 6 1/3 days. But here's what's cool. Pluto is so wimpy, and its moon is so large compared with Pluto, that it's not fair to say that the moon goes around Pluto. In fact, their center of gravity sits outside of Pluto. So that in fact, they move through space like this. Not like this. So for us and our moon, we Earthlings, yes, at all times we are going around a common center of mass, but at least it's within the physical body of the Earth. It's 1,000 miles deep under Earth's surface along a line connecting Earth to the moon. That's where the center of mass of the Earth-Moon system is. So Earth is not moving around a point in space. Earth is kind of jiggling like this because it's inside the body. Okay? You got that? Okay. So you know. Now let's see what this GIF looks like. Now they might have centered this on Pluto, and if they did, that's unfortunate because you'll miss what I'm telling you about the center of mass. Let's see. Oh no, they didn't. So there it is. So their center of revolution is in space, off the surface of Pluto. And so the New Horizons, so it's getting all the data it can en route. And then we finally do the flyby. And here, ladies and gentlemen, was the high resolution image from Pluto. Is that awesome? People could not resist, couldn't resist. Couldn't resist. Now, remember I told you in 1978 we figured out the size of Pluto? Because that's, among other things that year, we discovered Pluto's moon, Charon, from Earth in a very grainy photo. And so here's that photo of Pluto and Charon taken from Earth compared with the photo of Charon taken by New Horizons. Wow. Just give that an applause. I mean, obviously printed in the negative so that the planet stands out. And so Charon is just a sort of a bump. It looks like some kind of tumor on the side of Pluto. That's because their light is blended and you can't even distinguish them. And we're looking through Earth's atmosphere and the photographic emulsion. This was before digital photography was in common use, although we were among the first to use it in astrophysics, long before it was in your household cameras. But so we go from that to this, and then just extraordinary. Pluto's moon, Charon. And another image of the sun behind Pluto revealed a very thin layer of gas. And so the Pluto lovers are saying, Pluto's got an atmosphere! Because I think they're still bucking to get its planet status reinstated. But if you're going to boast how much atmosphere it has, go there and try to breathe it. Okay, and then we'll come back and have that conversation. But nonetheless, that glow can only exist if, in fact, the light is scattering off of atmospheric particles. So this whole thing about is it a planet, part of the definitions and nomenclature that has to happen when you have a coherent scientific community that is coherent in its lexicon is we set up a definition, a three-point definition. Is it round? Pluto is round, so that's a yes. But by the way, it has to be yes to all three of these that you'll see in a moment. And if you're small, your gravity isn't strong enough to shape you into a sphere. And you end up looking like a potato or something. Idaho potato. So small objects in space, the structure of their rocks determine their shape more than the strength of their gravity. So you just have rocky looking things. As asteroids satisfy that criteria. Okay, so next one. Does it primarily orbit the sun? So Pluto primarily orbits the sun. Charon is also round, but it primarily orbits Pluto. And so that's why you can have a round moon that might satisfy this, but you have to be the primary person in the orbital pair. So this is also true for Pluto. Yes, here's where Pluto fails. Does its mass dominate its orbit? No! In Pluto's orbit, there are thousands of other icy bodies that rival Pluto in mass and in structure and in orbit. Pluto does not own its orbit. We own our orbit. Jupiter owns its orbit. Everybody else owns their orbit. Pluto does not. And so Pluto is not a planet, it is a dwarf planet. There is an asteroid in the asteroid belt. Nobody owns it. There's no single asteroid that owns the asteroid belt because there's hundreds of thousands of asteroids there. But there's one asteroid that's big enough to be round. And its primary orbit is the sun. But its mass does not dominate the orbit. But in that case, it became a dwarf planet from having been considered an asteroid. So that one got elevated to dwarf planet status from an asteroid status. So it wasn't all bad in the solar system that day. Right? Just a blood lead. The science of inquiry.